Now, so we're back at the stage where we want to mark out the string, and this is how we go about it. We pick up the pitch angle again, which we mentioned earlier on. We bring that into play again, a very important angle, so I keep that ready at all times. Once I have the pitch angle, I need to take account of what's called the margin line. So if we go back to the drawing here, you'll see that there's a line up along here, a dotted line. That there's a margin line, which is to allow for the clearance at the back of the stair here, or the underside of the stair, which will allow for the rise thickness to come back. So that's what the margin line is for. And on the cut piece that we have here, you'll see it there, there's a line of the back of the rise, and it's shown that it ends right here where my fingernail is. Now normally you get away with about 36mm or 1 3/8 in old money. For safety, if you want it to be in a little bit, make it 1.5 inches. So that margin line has to be run along the edge here of the piece of timber. So use a sliding bevel for that, and you can run that up along there a distance. Up to do 2 threads will do you. You don't need to run up the whole way. If you don't want to do it with the marking or with the sliding bevel, you can do it with the marking gauge. Now from that, I can pick up my builder square, and I have these little guys here which are stair gauges, and I can put my rise onto that, which in the case of here, I go to the rise. It's 179.3, and the going is 235.7, so I made it 236. So I put the rise on at this point, so that's it there, and I put the going on at this point. I then offer them 2 points up to the margin line, and I've got this already done, and I put my scale gauges on there, and I tighten them in, and I tighten them in. So what that will effectively give me is the actual rise in the pitch. Now before I put the lines there, I need to know what's happening at the bottom of the stair. So we'll start with we'll start with the side that actually runs to the floor where there's no newel post. So in order to do that, I take my pitch line again, my pitch angle, and I run an angle down there anywhere I want on the stair. Put it anywhere you wish. And on that line, you measure the height of the skirting board, which is normally around 5 3/4 inches or 146.7 in millimeters. So I'm just going to use old money here and come down there 5 3/4 inches. So it's X 6-inch stock. Now if you're metric, it's down about, I've measured, I forgot to allow for the inch there, so 6 3/4. So I measure 6 3/4 there, which is actually 5 3/4. I start from the inch mark just for accuracy. Start from the inch point and I measure down. It's just a habit I have. Everybody's different. Now, a little bit of transformation geometry. Just pick up that point with your sliding bevel or with your combination square. Pick up that mark. Just transfer it right down to the end. So it's just an arrow there. Transfer it right down to that point. Come back along with your bevel, with your pitch angle again, and just parallel that line up there. Just put that line up there. Now that line there is the actual height of your skirting board. So you don't have to be trying to work it out. So just measure it down, bring it back parallel, transfer down, it's transformation geometry, transfer down to the end, and just use your pitch angle to put it back on. Now, you're ready to go then once you have that particular mark down there, because that mark there, when we come back, just to go and get a set square now. I have the mark here, come to this side of the camera, I have the mark here for the skirting board. So in this case what we do is we just run a 90-degree line back from that. From there, be very accurate. Now, that line there is the floor line. So that's where the stair, that's the floor line, so we put that on it, FLOOR, floor line. I'm in the way of the camera. So that's the skirting board and that's the floor line. And the angle is 90 degrees there. So now, the fact that we have that point, bang, right there, that's the identification of where the first rise will go. So we can put a line back up here and put a line back up here. Now, I can simply run my template down to that will end up there, like that, striking it perfectly. and you'll find that the rise, which I've measured at 137, I'll just go back to it again, 179.3. So that measurement is there, and I just simply draw that back to there. So now I have my rise and my going. That's the first one, so that's R1, that's rise number 1. Now the next thing we have to take into consideration is the router and the actual guide bush distance from the cutter. So we take our router here, and we flip it upside down, and we put that towards the camera there. And I'm using a 1/2 inch cutter with a 1/2 inch shank on it. And use a good quality cutter for staircase work. Don't scrimp on cheap ones. Trend is a good brand to use. So the guide bush for each router might be different. In some cases you can get them made up, but you can normally come with the router. The distance from the outside here to the outside of the cutter in my case is 8.5 millimeters. So I have to allow a forward movement of 8.5 to allow for the guide bush distance to the edge of the cutter. So it's 8.5 in my case. So to deal with that, what we do is we measure that distance forward. We simply measure that distance forward, just put that to one side. I go to my rise, and just to be accurate with it, rise in conjunction with a set square. If I come across at 90 degrees, it'll just give me a 90 degree line, will give me an accurate line to measure on. I'll come around here again. Now this measurement is extremely important, so I measure 8.5 and I put a mark there, and I'll actually put the bevel on it there as well also. So that's the rise done, a forward measurement of 8.5. I put a forward measurement also then of 8.5 here on the going. So I get that accurate, 8.5, and I'll come 90 degrees again to the rise there, and I'll put a mark there. Now they're the two lines I can set my template to. So now I'm back to the template, which I haven't put into play just yet. I take that out of there, just tidy up a little piece here. So here's my template, and my template is going to be applied this way. So what I'm effectively doing is I'm lining up the template with the line that's 8.5 millimeters forward and the line that's 8.5 millimeters above. So once I have that in position, I'll clamp that. Now this isn't on it at that stage. I'd have the 2 screws out and the fence hasn't arrived on it yet. So I'll clamp that once I have it exactly in line with the 8.5 millimeter mark there and here. Okay, there's a tiny little bit of adjustment needed. You need to be accurate with this because you're setting it up for the first time. I will clamp that. This isn't on it yet. Clamp that in position, come along and just push the fence down onto it and put in 2 screws or 3 to triangulate it, and that'll hold it. Once you have that in position, then you're ready to plug in your router, you clamp it, and you're ready to house and route your first string. So you see that in another little clipped housing. On the router, we set the depth of the cut for the trench to around 9/16 of an inch. So that's about 14 mil. And that's what I'd normally use. Some people just go 1/2 inch. So if the camera will go over here, doesn't need to. I have one here. So there's the actual depth. In my case, it'll show it there about 9/16 to 14 mil, and that allows me 25 mil here as a bare-face mortise when I come to do the newel post later on. You can see that I've already done it on this stair. So just to show you the process, that's the marking out, that's the setting out. Once you've transferred your information onto your builder square with the gauges, marked it as I've shown you, and then you apply the template to the marks plus 8.5 forward and 8.5 above on the rising string. Put your fence in position and screw it on, and then you can clamp each one as you go to route. So the route motion we'll be showing you will be just forward around like so and like so. We'll be using a depth, you normally do it in 2 passes. So you'll run the first one and clean it, and then you plunge the second cut. depth stop on the router here obviously, so the depth for my particular cut in this case is already set. If I push it down fully, you'll see that there's the full depth from the base to the top of the cut. That's that done. Now, I just want to show you one more little thing without turning on any machine, and that is to get an actual string. So we have a string here, and it's the opposite side, of course, doesn't matter. So there's what we have finished out. There's the lines we've already marked on this to show you what's happening on the far side. So there's the height of the skirting board, there's the ground line, and there's the first rise up there. There it is there. Now, in order to set, when you've the template set, you run off the first one. I go back to my template. I can put my template in position here and go back to the forward line, which I've already mentioned. It's the opposite side now, opposite hand. So we come back here and we just line it up there. That's where the template was in its position when I actually housed that. So that's the end result that you'll see there. If I just tilt it up, that's the end result you'll see there. It was up there to the forward line at that point. Now, in order to do the second one, you can actually put a height stop on it. So if we push forward to the second one, it will be the second marking on the stair. We'd have pushed it forward to that point there. We'd have marked another 8.5 up in the next, and out an 8.5. I normally do it twice. Normally I just do the height on the thread of a height of 8.5 clearance height. And what I do then is I get a little guy like this, and I push it in underneath there. Now let's just say that that's my position. And I'll get 2 screws and a screwdriver. I'll come back and say that again. I'll just get 2 screws and a screwdriver, and I'll normally drill a pilot hole in there first. These might pick up the points I had already. If I do that, I think I'll be very close. I've already done this. There we go. And there we go. Now, just in case you don't understand what I'm at, I put a height stop on the actual template. So once I have the first thread done, I can actually put the height stop on to catch the second one here. So all I have to do is put on that, pull it forward and clamp it. Pull it till it gets tight and just clamp it, and then run the next set, the next thread and rise, which constitutes a full step. Then I can just move it on there to the next one and up along the stair. So I have a fixed set that I don't need then to be worrying about the thread rise and thread going as I go up consecutive steps along the stringer. Excuse me. So I hope that's helpful. Now, some people, you can cut the baseline here, and you can set up your first one. You can set up your first one, and you can actually put that batten on at the very ground level and proceed along. I prefer to do the first thread first, the first rise first, just to check that everything is right. If there's any tiny adjustment, 0.5 millimeter, 1/4 millimeter, I can make it at this point, so that I haven't got that cumulative addition or subtraction going up along in the height. So that's why I would do it twice. I would mark that forward line out and up. I would do it twice for the first 2, just to make sure that my rise is right. You can start from the floor line, as I said, but it's best to do the first one first. That's what I believe. Do the first one first, and then if you have any minor adjustment, make it on the next thread there. Put on your height stop, like there at the back, put on your height stop, and you're ready to go then with every consecutive thread and rise thereafter. So it's a matter of putting the template in there, pushing forward, clamping, and the routing process you'll see in the next clip. So that's the setting out. I hope you see that as useful. Template there, as you can see, it's marked on there. I have a thickness of the thread is 28, and nosing is 25. The fence also, to save having to take it off for accuracy, it's a fence that will work for left and right handed sides. So hope that's useful. That's the setting out process for our stair, and the next part is then a little clip just to show the housing of the string itself, because that's what we end up with. So why do I not? The only reason I'm not turning on the router there is I can't talk on camera while the router's going. It's quite noisy. So that's that there, but you will see a little clip showing the actual recessing of them. So I hope that's useful. Just to recap, when we start, we pick up our pitch line, which is this guy here. Pick up our pitch line, that guy. We apply any line here, measure down the distance for our skirting board, transfer that line parallel to the base edge out to the bottom, done. Put on the pitch line again here, that's the height of your skirting. Bring a 90-degree line back from the pitch line to strike the margin line, and when you bring that back, that is the position of your first riser. All you have to do thereafter is draw another horizontal line there at 90 degrees to the pitch line, and you'll have the going. You can also have this guy set up, actually do it, just run it up to the rise, and then just bring back the actual going distance. Measure 8.5 for your guide bush, and measure 8.5 for your guide bush, or whatever it is on the router that you have. Once you've that done, you can set your template to those marks, the 8.5 mark, put on your fence, screw it in position, and you're ready then to route. Okay, so that's where we're at. That's the setting out of a stair. It's as straightforward as I can give you when it runs to the floor. You'll see the newel post be done on the opposite side on a further video. So, Shinawell, over now for now.